East Branch fire officer dies in the line of duty. Stamford Walgreens closes in September. And Margaretville celebrates 150 years. These are a few stories making headlines this week. Welcome to Catskills Air. I'm Jessica Murphy with your latest local news. And with me, of course, is Matt Avidable, editor and publisher of the Mountain Eagle and the Catskills Chronicle. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Let's get to the news. Tragedy struck in East Branch last week when a local fire officer was electrocuted on the scene of an accident. What happened, Matt?
It's a really unfortunate case. Third Assistant Chief Jason McGlone, age 51, was responding to a rescue pumper to a report of a vehicle that had struck a utility pole on Highway 30 in the town of Hancock. And the preliminary investigation determined that a low-hanging electrical wire was in contact with the top of the fire truck. And when the assistant chief exited the vehicle and made contact with the metal door and the ground, he was electrocuted. Efforts were made to save his life, but ultimately were unsuccessful, and he was pronounced deceased. This is a really unfortunate case, and it goes to highlight both the service of our local volunteers as well as the dangers of electricity. A lot of times there's discussion that if you see a wire down, don't get anywhere close to it. And unfortunately, this is a case where electricity can be extraordinarily dangerous. He had served 25 years for the community, including 15 years as assistant chief, and according to the fire district, embodied the courage, commitment, and selflessness that define New York's volunteer firefighters. The governor issued a statement, and she said that her heart was with his loved ones and fellow firefighters.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to Officer McGlone's family as well. The Walgreens on Lake Street in Stamford is closing. Matt, why is this chain closing, this location, and what does that mean for the community?
Walgreens is restructuring. They're closing about 1,200 different locations. There's going to be another one a little bit outside of our coverage area in Oneonta that is closing. I did check on Delhi. So far, they haven't been announced as closing, but Stamford and Oneonta's locations will be about 1,200 of 8,500 across the country. And so I also spoke to the mayor, Robert Schneider, who said that he was very disappointed. Closing will happen just a little bit more than a month on September 3rd.
Short-term rentals are a hot topic once again in Margaretville. Why did the village revive its committee?
Action by the town board. On July 9th, the town wound up reestablishing a short-term rental committee. This wound up happening after the governor, Kathy Hochul, signed legislation to establish a statewide short-term rental registry. On top of that, the town had included the issue in its goals in the comprehensive plan outline. The local officials believe that this has to be reviewed immediately. In fact, Mayor John Hubble anticipates buyouts of local short-term rentals by a few major corporations that are expanding across the state. As we've talked about it, this has been a major hot topic over in Shandaken, and the mayor said that Shandaken has done well, but it took a few years to go into place. We had a few comments during the discussion. As a matter of fact, Trustee Jeff Warren said that the community doesn't want to lose the local vacation homes, and it would be preferable to address the issue without restricting people from using their property as they see fit. There's more detail in there, but as of right now, the village of Margaretville is looking to deal with this short-term rental issue as quickly as possible.
Over in Courtright, the town board had a light week, but reporter Liz Page found that a lot of ground was covered. Matt, fill us in on her report.
It was a light agenda, but they wound up talking about quite a bit. So we wound up seeing that the cost of operating the water plant is up about 4% in the next budget. The board also approved a new website. There's a recommendation that communities above 1,500 population have one. Courtright has 1,566. So the supervisor, George Haynes, talked about it. And ultimately, they're going to be working with the company Delco Creative. Cost to set up the site is going to be about $2,500, and it's going to be about $250 to maintain with a $30 annual fee. The town also approved a building permit for a shed to be added at the town-owned former school grounds, and there was an agreement with Heart of the Catskills Humane Society for a $40 fee per dog. But one thing that came up that we're likely going to be speaking about in the future is that there was a letter from Alice and Steve Tucker regarding the county-owned home in Bloomville that is acting as a bit of a transitory home And with that, the letter winds up with 27 questions and talks about the homeless shelter there and asks for it to be re examined. I'm sure this is going to be a project that's going to be talked about again, and it looks like we'll be covering it in the future.
Thanks, Matt. Reporter Mary Crisafulli tackles a dangerous subject. What is the latest on Vega Mountain Road in Roxbury?
This is interesting because if you've driven up Vega Mountain Road, you can know the curves and how it is how you need to really pay attention, and you can't be speeding too quickly, especially considering how quickly it goes up above Roxbury off of Main Street. And so with that, we wound up seeing a homeowner attending the town board meeting and asking that there be signage placed before and after the curve. Suggested wording included possibly hidden highway, caution steep incline. Another attendee talked about potential arrow signs, and with that, there a lot of this focus is because of the June 14th fatal accident there, in which a Toyota Tundra went off the road, and David Oakley, 34 years old of Oneida, did not survive. Supervisor Alan Hinckley talked about this quickly, and he said that he'd bring it up to the highway superintendent, and he said that there will be signs up there. So hopefully this road will become a little bit safer in the not too distant future.
I hope so too, Matt. In Stamford, trustees moved forward with the third phase of the town's water upgrades. What's being done and who's paying for these improvements?
That's right. This is another part of the extensive upgrades happening in Stamford. They got an update from an engineering firm, and so with that, the final phase is estimated at between $1.5 and $2 million. It is 100% grant funded, so no local match here. And with that, there will be new water mains along West Main Street on Route 10, south of State Route 23, and Grant Place. And so the hope is here it's going to expand. The village is already installed a new water tank and water mains, and fingers crossed it's going to lead to some long-term improvements in the village of Stamford's water.
Okay, and how is this going to affect the newly paved roads in the area?
So far, I actually haven't heard. I'm sure that this is going to require quite extensive work. As someone who has driven through this just on Monday, it is quite a lot of work going on, but the village, I'm sure, will be telling us in not too long.
All right, well, we'll keep tracking that story. Over in Delhi, SUNY is getting some big bucks to buy robots, as well as train students for future manufacturing careers. This sounds super cool, Matt. What's the story?
That's right. They're getting almost $152,000. So this is a grant that's going to help with its mechatronics program. And they've been working on this multiple years. And in fact, this grant is coming from the Hexer Foundation for Children. There's a hope that there's going to be an acquisition of 3 additional robotic units, and it's going to cover student certification test fees to help ensure that graduates are ready for jobs. So this is going to be a major technological advancement for the college. As a matter of fact, the college is already working with Chobani, Special Metals LLC, MBI, Schneider Packaging, and more to try and get tomorrow's workforce ready for the technological demands that are going to be coming down.
The Episcopal Bishop of the Albany Diocese visited St. James Church, and reporter Robert Brune covered. Matt, enlighten our viewers.
This is a really neat scene. Rob Brune captured these images of the Right Reverend Jeremiah Williamson. He's the newly elected bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Albany, and so here he is in Delhi at St. James Church, and he attended services on Sunday. The local priest said that the parish was thrilled to have the bishop attend, and that the local parish has admired how the bishop has been bringing, quote, healing and unity to a rather battered diocese. So we have more information in about the local parish and about the bishop if you'd like to see more from Rob Brune in this week's paper.
O'Connor Hospital in Delhi has a new emergency medical director. Who is stepping into this role?
New director, but not a new face. This is Aaron Wilson. Aaron's been involved with Bassett since 2008. He started out as a technician, and he's worked at O'Connor since for quite a while here. After he earned his nursing degree, he went out to work at the special care unit at Bassett Medical Center in Cooperstown before transitioning back to O'Connor, where he worked in the emergency department and he is going to continue his work now as the medical director of the hospital emergency department. Lots of experience and a local face for the hospital.
Delco DA Sean Smith's latest shout out goes to a criminal investigator in Margaretville. Matt, fill us in.
A nice picture here too of Adam Chernauskas of the New York State Police. He's been involved in a lot of important investigations, and he's assigned to Troop C in Margaretville. The district attorney Sean Smith said that the investigator regularly works on serious felony charges and that he is extremely thorough and he has great attention to detail. They give him a lot of credit for participating in the Delaware County Multidisciplinary Team, or the MDT, and has consistently, quote, displayed great compassion for victims in very difficult situation. So congratulations to Investigator Chernauskas from the District Attorney's Office.
In other news, in Bovina, as the Livestock Foundation doles out its annual community grant awards. Matt, who are the recipients?
This one's really neat because we got to include some photos and we see the great work of the Livestock Foundation. The grant wound up going to several different organizations, some of which have been battered recently with the loss of grant funding nationwide. Some received it back, and some are still awaiting more news. So with that, we have money going to the Hanford Mills Museum as well as the West Courtright Center. We've covered their events within our news broadcast. Both have done a lot. If you have a chance to check out either one, you can see a roll into local history or a lot of local art. So with that, Hanford Mills and the West Courtright Center both received $5,000. For Hanford Mills, this is going to support the Water Wheel and Forebay Restoration Project, and for West Courtright, it's going to be used to support the interior restoration and insulation of the former church building.
Many came out Saturday to celebrate Margaretville. Here's CatskillsAir correspondent Chris Cook with the highlights.
Great, Jess. Big doings in Margaretville Saturday. The village celebrated turning 150 years old. People came together for a town photo, and there was plenty of food, drinks, and fun, from vintage cars to a scavenger hunt. And the party ended on a high note, dancing in the streets with Rocker Sue's Garage. Happy 150th Margaretville! What a celebration. Back to you, Jess.
Thanks, Chris. Margaretville Memories series is running on CatskillsAir, so be sure to check it out. And in other groundbreaking news, the Kirkside project is set to, well, dig in. Matt, fill us in on what's happening.
So we'll be there, and we have this report too that August 8th, that's a Friday at 4:30, everyone is invited to join community members and dignitaries and partners for this groundbreaking. It's been a long time coming with a lot of work done, and it's going to officially launch the Kirkside project, which hopes to remake much of downtown Roxbury. We've talked about this MARC project initiative and the support from different agencies. There's also going to be live music. Bravely is going to be there. There's going to be a picnic feast. There's going to be both soft drinks and adult beverages, and lawn seats are available. Please make sure if you can make it. It's going to be August 8th.
And it's July, but we're talking Christmas. Why is that, Matt?
Believe it or not, Christmas always does come in July 1st before it comes to us in December, and George Bertliner of Stamford wants us to know that the Christmas Feeling Fund does need your help. That helps so many local people during Christmas. Their goal is to bring in $35,000. This winds up donating food and warm clothing for those in need. For some children, there's going to be gifts and candy. Please make sure if you'd like to donate. They've served many families over the years. In fact, last year was 160 local families. More information on page A8 in the paper this week. Donate if you can.
That is a great cause, and like Matt said, check out the article in the Mountain Eagle section to learn how you can participate. Also in Stamford, the annual Run, Market, and Block Party comes to town. Matt, this sounds fun. What's happening?
This one's always fun, and we always have some really nice photos. Liz Page wrote this one up on the cover of the Mountain Eagle section. It's going to be the 15th annual Mom McGrail Memorial 5K Run and Walk, and on top of that, there's also going to be an outdoor market and a block party, all centered around Veterans Park, right across from our office, the Mountain Eagle office, right in Stamford, and it's honoring the memory of Catherine or Kathleen McGrail and a chance to bring people together in the community for a good time in her memory. So proceeds do go to the Mom McGrail Scholarship Fund to provide $1,000 in academic scholarships to students selected from 11 local school districts, and donations can be sent via mail. So if you'd like to know more, it's right on the cover.
And turning to sports, Matt, the Wild Turkeys went, well, wild, I guess, with their first softball game. Tell us everything.
This one was really neat, and I give a lot of credit to the New Kingston Valley Association for organizing it. It was July 19th, and with that, we saw a bunch of local participants and viewers and people just to come cheer them on at Margaretville Central School. There was a great rendition of the national anthem, followed by this game. And so with that, we wound up seeing the game between the Wild Turkeys, who ultimately defeated the Whoop-de-Doos 6-5. I don't know if anyone had money on the game, but it was a tight one, and we might wind up seeing a rematch. A lot of credit to the players and to the NKVA for all their efforts.
Well, maybe I'll have to bet on the rematch, Matt. Thanks. Congrats to the Wild Turkeys, and stay with us because sportscaster John Bernhardt talks all about the new Women's National Softball League. Sounds like an old familiar movie. Thanks for keeping us all up to date, Matt. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
For more on these and other articles, pick up the Mountain Eagle or Catskills Chronicle. And now it's time to talk sports. Here's John with a look at women's softball on the national scene.
Ladies, your turn. With multiple teams vying for a postseason spot in the current baseball season, interest is at a fever pitch around the baseball landscape. But take a step back for a moment. There's a new kid on the block this summer. The American Unlimited Softball League is a new premier women's sports league in the United States. To create broad interest in the new league, this summer, 4 women's teams, the Bandits, the Vols, the Blaze, and the Talons, are a traveling softball show, taking the women's game to 12 different cities, featuring a 24-game schedule for each team, with a best-of-3 championship series completed last weekend. The league will feature a 21 AUSL All-Star Cup during the month of August. After America gets a taste of professional women's softball, a traditional city-based league will get off the ground during the 2026 season, with current plans projecting a league increase to 6 teams. The AUSL has garnered support from Major League Baseball, MLB making a strategic investment to assist operation costs and a commitment to help the league gain visibility. MLB will assist with a host of necessary ingredients, content, marketing and sales, event distribution, and digital and social platforms. Here's Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred talking about MLB's support. This is something we're really excited about. We studied the space hard. We think it's a real opportunity, and we're excited to be involved. Manfred isn't the only one who's excited. Young girls and young women who play softball are equally pumped about the new opportunity too. This is really something that's going to be sustainable. And people can be professional softball players, and that's all they do, says United States national team infielder Sis Bates. This can be your full-time career, which is incredible. The exploding growth of the WNBA, the Women's Professional Basketball League, the National Women's Soccer League, and peaking interest in NCAA women's basketball has more than caught Major League Baseball's attention, with the MLB willing to make a commitment to see the softball sport grow. Manfred sees a bright future for the AUSL. We hope that we will end up with a league that's sustainable on its own, a good investment for us, and a partner in growing diamond sports internationally. That's our sports report for this week.
Thanks, John. Elizabeth now has some arts and entertainment events coming up.
Hello, everybody. A wonderful opportunity to see all the creative, wonderful events that are happening in our own backyard. Introduction to cultivating cognitive ability with plants, trees, and nature in East Meredith, August 17th, with Marguerite Uhlman Bauer, an incredible medicine woman. I call her a goddess because she is. She finds beauty in nature in a way that other people cannot, and she teaches other people to acknowledge and feel it too. So if that isn't art, I don't know what is. CatskillsAir author Dana Cudmore will be at the Cave House Museum for Mining and Geology. Dana Cudmore is an incredible writer. He's done numerous books on our local area and the beauty of the Catskills. There'll be signed copies of his book there. It will be 2 p.m. August 10th. Where did our stone go? And the talk is about all the quarries of upstate New York, all the wonderful stone and mineral that came out of our area to help build New York City, basically New York State. So let's go support Dana Cudmore. At the Iroquois Museum, Carrie Hill will be giving workshops on basket weaving, a wonderful talent that should be taught, should be known, and I'm so grateful to Carrie that she's still doing it. It will be August 17th. You can go to the Iroquois Museum online and find out more information about her and what she's doing, and the museum, of course, is free when you go to see her workshop. And also, Jefferson Historical Society is doing a call for art, the spirit of the community. It will be held at Judd Hall. The deadline is September 19th. Go to Historical Society Jefferson at Gmail to find out more information about how to submit your work. You've got a long time. It's just, well, not a long time, but September at least gives you a moment to reflect and see if you can make art or have art that can show what community means to you in living in upstate New York. So here's an opportunity, call for art. So everybody have a wonderful creative day. Thank you for watching CatskillsAir. See you next time.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Forest rangers were put to the test with a dangerous rescue in Hunter. Let's take a look.
He's just the sweetest, coolest pup. He loves everyone, loves life.
She's talking about Hey Hey, a 1.5-year-old Australian Shepherd who goes hiking with her all the time. But while hiking the escarpment trail in Hunter, Hey Hey took a wrong step.
I went to step right because there was like a 6-inch gap between the rock we were on and the next rock. To my left, there's like a 5-foot span to the next ledge. He jumped and I had the leash, and he must have just landed on the other rock, but being the length of the leash, it got taut, and then he was hanging. I had him both hands on my leash and he was hanging. I just saw the collar just like going like this on him, and then he dropped. I thought I was never going to see him again. I felt like he was going hundreds of feet into an abyss.
She called for help. Forest Rangers Dawson and Welch jumped into action. They set up a rope rescue so Ranger Dawson could rappel into the crevice.
He got there, let's get this going. And he did everything with his ropes and pulleys, and he got down there and he got my dog.
Out came Ranger Dawson holding Hey Hey.
He should have a cape sewn on his uniform, I told him. He was so professional and fearless. It was the best feeling in the world. It was the best feeling in the world. I think the dog was happy too.
The pup is home safe and sound thanks to the courageous action of Rangers Welch and Dawson. A day later, a hiker was injured on Huckleberry Loop, about 2 miles from the Dry Brook Ridge. The senior from White Plains slipped on a wet rock and injured his upper leg. He bravely used his trekking poles to continue down the loop. Forest Rangers Comerford and Seeley reached the climber and radioed for medical assistance. Margaretville Fire and EMS, along with the 2 rangers, used a wheeled litter to carry him to a utility terrain vehicle. He was taken to Margaretville Hospital Everybody, be safe out there and watch your step. The weather's been wonderful, so let's see what's ahead.
Good day, Catskill Mountain friends and neighbors. It's Lori with CatskillsAir, bringing you your weekly weather update for the beautiful, pristine, still highly wacky and unpredictable in weather Catskill Mountain region. And we were supposed to have some severe thunderstorms this past weekend, and at the end of the weekend we did have them. However, they were hit and miss throughout the whole weekend on Friday and Saturday, and most places in the Catskill High Peaks didn't even see a raindrop until Sunday. And it looks like those temperatures are going to climb to wind down the end of July, and we are going to get hot and steamy for the start of the week and midweek. And then those temperatures to pop off the start of the month, pop off August, we're going to get a little bit cooler. However, I don't see any rain besides ending the weekend with rain, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm midweek from the high humidity. But otherwise, I see rather dry and rather sunny conditions and hot and steamy to start with. So let's give it a go and check out what's happening in the Catskill High Peaks and weather, and let's get into it. On Monday, we can expect abundant sunshine for all, with very hot temperatures and a humid feel with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, winds out of the north-northwest at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have clear skies. Those temps are going to drop back to a balmy 65 degrees, winds light and variable. On Tuesday, we have sunny skies with a few passing clouds, very hot and humid. Temperatures in the upper 80s, darn near 90, winds out of the west at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have a few passing clouds with the temperatures only dropping back to the mid to upper 60s, winds light and variable. On Wednesday, we have partly cloudy skies, hot and humid, temperatures in the upper 80s, winds out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have variable cloud cover with the chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms for some areas, very isolated. Temperatures are going to drop back to the mid to low 60s, winds light and variable. And on Thursday, we have lots of cloud cover with the high chance of stray isolated showers. Those temperatures are going to plummet, and we're only going to reach the mid to low 70s with winds out of the north-northeast at 5 to 10. And overnight, we have cloudy skies, early evening, and then clearing. It's going to be cool. Temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 50s, winds out of the northeast at 5 to 10. As I bid you farewell, remember that weather and temperature changes on a dime, especially in the beautiful Catskill Mountain region. Be sure to join me, Lori, for your weekend weather update. It's going to be cooler, but I have a feeling it's going to be lots of sunshine. So be sure to join me from somewhere in the Cats.
That's it for CatskillsAir. If you see something or have a thought to share, let us know. I'm Jessica Murphy. Bye for now.